Welcome to the English Voice, where English becomes exciting. Today, we take a journey through the life of a man who changed how we think about money, cars, space, and the future itself. A boy with big dreams, a man with impossible goals. This is the story of Elon Musk, from South Africa to Silicon Valley and beyond. Grab your headphones, sit back, and let's dive into a story that will teach you English and might just inspire your life. Elon Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. From the very beginning, he was different, quiet, shy, always thinking. He didn't speak much, but when he did, it was deep. He loved books more than people. He would spend hours reading science fiction, technology, philosophy. By the age of 9, Elon had read an entire encyclopedia. By 12, he was writing computer programs. And at 12, he made his first sale a small space-themed video game he called Blaster. He sold it for $500. Most kids would have bought a bike. Elon thought about rockets. But childhood wasn't easy. He was bullied in school hard, thrown downstairs, beaten until he couldn't breathe. The other kids didn't understand him. He was too smart, too quiet, too different. And home wasn't peaceful either. His parents divorced when he was young. He lived with his father, Elon Musk, a strict, often cold man. Later in life, Elon would say, "My dad was a terrible human being, and you have no idea." But even in the pain, Elon kept learning, kept dreaming, kept building his inner world. A world full of space, clean energy, and technology that could change everything. At age 17, Elon made a bold decision. He left South Africa. He didn't want to be part of the mandatory military service. He wanted freedom. He wanted a future. So, with a suitcase and a dream, he flew to Canada, using his mother's Canadian citizenship. There, he worked any job he could find, cleaning boilers, shoveling dirt, cutting logs. He did what he had to do to survive, but he never stopped dreaming big. He attended Queen's University in Ontario and later transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in the US. At Penn, he studied both physics and economics. He wasn't the loudest student, but professors noticed something rare. One of them said he didn't just want to learn the material, he wanted to understand the universe. While others partied, Elon read rocket manuals for fun. He started asking strange questions like, "How can I make a rocket company?" Or, "What would it take to power the world with solar energy?" Even then, he wasn't thinking small. He was already planning for Mars. In 1995, Elon moved to California, the heart of the tech revolution. He enrolled in Stanford University for a PhD in energy physics, but he left after just 2 days because he saw something bigger, the internet. He said later, "I could either watch it happen or be a part of it." So he started a company. With his brother Kimball and just 2-0, they launched Zip2, a startup that helped newspapers move online. At the time, it sounded strange. Most newspapers didn't even have websites. Elon and Kimball worked day and night. They slept in the office, showered at the local YMCA. They cold called businesses all day, and Elon coded all night. Eventually, Zip2 started to grow. Big names like the New York Times and Chicago Tribune became clients. In 1999, Compaq bought the company for $307 million. Elon walked away with $22 million at just 27 years old. He could have retired, bought a mansion, lived on a beach, but he didn't. Instead, he said, "I want to do something more important, something that matters." And so, he started X.com, one of the world's first online banks. People laughed. Why would anyone send money over email? But Elon believed in it. And once again, he was right. X.com later merged with another company to become PayPal, a service we all know today. Elon's goal with PayPal was simple: make money, move faster, cheaper, and easier for everyone. And he succeeded. In 2002, eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion. Elon personally made $180 million. Now he was truly rich, but still he didn't stop. He didn't disappear. He didn't buy a yacht. He asked a question that would change his life forever. What are the most important problems for the future of humanity? And the answers he came up with were three: the internet, sustainable energy, and space. He had already done the first. Now it was time for the next two. In 2002, Elon Musk founded SpaceX, short for Space Exploration Technologies. The idea? Make rockets cheaper, make them reusable, and ultimately colonize Mars. It sounded crazy. Most people laughed. "You're just a software guy," they said. "You can't compete with NASA." But Elon had heard it all before, so he studied rockets like he once studied programming. He read books, talked to scientists, hired smart engineers, and got to work. The first rocket was called Falcon 1. It was small, simple, but it was all they could afford. In 2006, Falcon 1 launched for the first time and exploded. In 2007, they tried again. Another failure. 2008 third launch. Another failure. By then, SpaceX was almost out of money. Tesla, his other company, was also burning cash. Elon had one last shot. If the next launch failed, SpaceX would die. Everything he had built would disappear. September 28, 2008. Falcon 1 lifted off. People watched in silence. And this time, it worked. The rocket reached orbit. For the first time in history, a private company had put a rocket into space. NASA noticed, and soon after, they signed a contract with SpaceX worth $1.6 billion. SpaceX had survived, and Elon had proven them wrong. Again. At the same time, Elon was working on Tesla, a company making electric cars. At the time, electric cars were slow, ugly, and expensive. No one believed they could be popular, but Elon had a vision. Fast, beautiful, fully electric cars that could change the world. The first car, the Tesla Roadster, came out in 2008. It was fast, it was sleek, and it shocked the industry. But there were problems. Production was slow, costs were high. People doubted Tesla could survive. Elon poured his own money into the company. He worked 20-hour days. He slept on the factory floor. He kept pushing. In 2010, Tesla became the first car company to go public in the U.S. In over 50 years, it raised hundreds of millions of dollars and gave Elon the cash to keep building. Then came the Moon DOS, a luxury sedan that critics called the best car ever made. Then the Model X. Then the Moon DO 3, the first mass-market electric car. Every step, people doubted him. And every time, Elon kept proving them wrong. Meanwhile, back at SpaceX, the team was building something new. The Falcon 9, a bigger rocket, stronger, more powerful. And in 2015, they did the impossible. They launched a rocket into space and then landed it upright back on Earth. No one had ever done that. Before this, rockets were single-use, like throwing away an airplane after one flight. Now, they could be reused, saving millions. It changed the game and brought Elon's dream of Mars one step closer. But he wasn't done. In 2016, he started Neuralink, a company focused on connecting the human brain to computers. It sounded like science fiction, but Elon believed it could help people with paralysis, memory loss, and more. Eventually, he said, this could be a way for humans to keep up with artificial intelligence. At the same time, he launched the Boring Company, a company to dig tunnels under cities. Why? Because traffic was destroying lives and time. So Elon asked, what if we went underground? He tested the idea in Los Angeles. He started building tunnels. He built them faster and cheaper than anyone expected. And suddenly, it wasn't so crazy. In 2017, Tesla introduced the Semi, a fully electric truck. Then, a new roadster, the fastest production car ever made, and the Cybertruck, a sharp-edged, futuristic pickup that broke the internet. Some people laughed, some people mocked it, but Elon didn't care. He said, "We're not trying to be anyone else. We're trying to be better." In 2018, SpaceX launched the Falcon Heavy, the most powerful rocket in the world. To test it, Elon sent something unusual into space, his own red Tesla Roadster. Inside the car was a mannequin in a spacesuit named Starman. David Bowie played on the speakers, and Earth faded in the background. The images went viral. Millions watched live. It was funny. It was bold. And it reminded the world space could be exciting again. Elon kept going. Faster, bigger, bolder. He launched Starlink, a system of satellites to bring internet to every corner of the planet. Thousands of small satellites spinning above us, creating a web of global connection. Remote villages, ships, mountains, all with fast, low-cost internet. It changed lives. And once again, Elon was first. But Elon wasn't just focused on technology. He was thinking about the future of humanity itself. He said, "We have to become a multi-planet species. If something happens to Earth, we need a second chance." So he unveiled Starship, the most ambitious rocket ever built. Bigger than anything NASA had ever flown. Fully reusable, capable of carrying 100 people to Mars. It looked like something from a sci-fi movie, shiny, tall, and powerful. Critics said it would never fly, but Elon didn't listen. He never did. Test after test, Starship exploded. Again, and again, and again. But each time, the team learned something new, and each time, they got a little closer. "Failure is not the opposite of success," Elon said. "It's part of success." By 2023, Starship was preparing for its first orbital flights. The goal? Moon first, then Mars, and maybe one day beyond. Meanwhile, Tesla was changing the auto industry. Electric cars were no longer a joke, they were the future. Every major company, Ford, GM, Volkswagen, rushed to copy Tesla. But Elon had already moved on. He was building giant factories, gigafactories all over the world. In Nevada, in China, in Germany, in Texas. Huge buildings, fully automated, building thousands of cars a day. It was a revolution in how things were made, and it made Tesla one of the most valuable companies on Earth. In 2021, Elon Musk became the richest person in the world. His net worth passed $200 billion. He passed Jeff Bezos, passed Bill Gates, but he didn't throw a party. He didn't buy an island. When asked what he wanted, he said, "I want to use that money to make life multi-planetary." To Elon, wealth was just fuel for the mission, not the goal, never the goal. That same year, SpaceX launched the Inspiration 4 mission, the first all-civilian crew to orbit Earth. No astronauts, just regular people, teachers, scientists, dreamers. They orbited the Earth for 3 days. They saw the planet from space. They shared their stories with the world, and SpaceX made history again. But even as he succeeded, Elon was surrounded by controversy. His tweets caused chaos. One moment he was joking, the next he was moving markets. He called out politicians, mocked billionaires, promoted crypto, criticized lockdowns, criticized the media. Some loved him, some hated him, but everyone listened. In 2022, Elon did something no one expected. He bought Twitter. Yes, the social media platform. He said free speech was in danger. That public conversation needed to be open. The deal cost $44 billion. He became the owner overnight and immediately started making changes. He fired top executives, changed the rules, opened up banned accounts, and promised transparency. People argued, people quit, people cheered. But one thing was clear, Elon wasn't afraid to take risks, even when the whole world was watching. While all this was happening, Tesla rolled out more updates. Self-driving technology got smarter. Batteries got cheaper, charging stations spread everywhere, and in 2023, Tesla's Model Y became one of the best-selling cars in the world, not just among electric cars, but all cars. The mission was working, sustainable energy was winning, and Elon was smiling. He started talking more about AGI, artificial general intelligence. He warned that AI could be dangerous, but also powerful. He said humanity needed to be careful, but also brave. So he launched XAI, a company focused on building safe and useful AI systems. He didn't want machines to rule us. He wanted us to grow together, carefully, consciously, for the future. In late 2023, SpaceX tested Starship again. It was bigger, faster, more ready than ever. And though it didn't reach orbit, it flew, higher than ever before. The dream of Mars was still alive, and closer than anyone thought possible. Elon stood watching, smiling, covered in dust, but full of hope. Despite all the innovation, all the success, Elon Musk's personal life was often in the spotlight. He had been married, divorced, dated celebrities, fathered multiple children, some with unusual names, like XAA12. The media followed every move, but Elon rarely talked about it. He preferred to focus on work. When asked about his private life, he often replied, "I don't have much of one." Friends said he was intense, obsessive, driven to the point of exhaustion. He admitted to sleeping in factories, missing holidays, skipping meals. He once said, "Running multiple companies is like eating glass and staring into the abyss." But he kept going, always going, because for Elon, the mission came first, always. He believed the biggest dangers to humanity were climate change, artificial intelligence, a global pandemic, and asteroid impacts. That's why he built Tesla, why he started SpaceX, why he founded Neuralink, and why he worked 100 hours a week to try to protect the future, not just for himself, but for all of us. By 2024, Elon's companies were everywhere. Tesla cars filled highways, Starlink satellites filled the sky, Starship launches shook the earth, Neuralink tested brain chips in animals. Twitter had become X, a platform he hoped would evolve into a super app for messaging, payments, and information. It was all part of a bigger vision, a connected world, a resilient humanity, an open mind to the stars. And yet, he remained controversial. His words, his tweets, his speed, they made people nervous. Some saw a genius, others saw a threat, but no one could ignore him. Because he wasn't just dreaming, he was building, and he was doing it in public, failing in public, changing the world in real time. People asked, "What drives Elon Musk?" He answered simply, "I want to think about the future and not be sad." That one sentence held everything: hope, fear, responsibility. He once said he would rather die on Mars than on Earth, not because it was easy, but because it mattered. Elon's legacy is still being written, but even now, it teaches us something powerful: that bold ideas can win, that failure is part of growth, that obsession, when pointed at something greater than yourself, can change the world. He showed us that we don't have to wait for permission to build, to explore, to reinvent. We just have to start and never stop. He believed in doing hard things, impossible things, things that scared people. He said, if something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are against you. That's why he kept going, even when he was broke, even when rockets exploded, even when the media mocked him, even when he was alone, because he believed the future needed builders, and he chose to be one. So what does this mean for us? It means we can dream big too. We can build something that matters. We can fight for a better tomorrow, even if it's hard, even if we're scared, even if others say we can't, because someone has to. Why not you? Why not now? This was the story of Elon Musk, a boy from South Africa, a man with rockets in his mind and a future in his heart. From internet startups to Mars missions, his journey is far from over, but it has already changed the way we think, move, connect, and dream. And that's just the beginning. Thank you for listening. And remember, history is not just about the past, it's about the future we choose to build. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to English Avenue for more stories that teach you English and remind you what's possible. See you in the next story.